"Excuse me, sir, can you help me?" Those were the words that pulled Mark Carter out of his own thoughts and into the storm of someone else's life. Mark was a single dad in his early 30s, sitting at a small diner with his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. It was Friday night, his favorite time of the week, when he could afford a little treat after long days working double shifts at the auto repair shop. Lily was coloring on a napkin, humming softly to herself, and Mark couldn't help but smile. She was his world, his light after the dark years that followed losing his wife to cancer 3 years ago. That night, the diner was unusually crowded. Laughter, clinking cups, the hiss of coffee machines, and then suddenly, a sound that didn't belong, a choked gasp for air. Everyone froze. At the corner booth, a well-dressed woman in her late 20s clutched her throat, her face turning pale. Her diamond bracelet glittered under the light as she struggled to breathe. People stared, some whispering, others pulling out phones. No one moved. But Mark did. He didn't think, his instincts just kicked in. He rushed over, gently pulling the woman to her feet. "It's okay, I've got you," he said calmly, even as his heart raced. He performed the Heimlich maneuver once, twice, and then with a forceful thrust, the piece of food shot out, clattering onto the floor. The woman gasped and coughed, tears streaming down her face as she regained her breath. The crowd erupted in applause. The woman turned to him, trembling. You saved my life," she whispered. Mark smiled softly, embarrassed by the attention. "Just glad you're okay," he said. "You should probably get checked by a doctor though." She nodded, still shaken. A man in a sharp suit rushed in moments later, her driver, judging by his demeanor. He guided her carefully out of the diner. Before she left, she turned back and said, "Please, tell me your name." "Mark Carter," he replied. She nodded as if memorizing it. "Thank you, Mark Carter." And just like that, she was gone. Mark went back to Lily, who looked up at him with wide eyes. "Daddy, you're a hero." He chuckled, ruffling her hair. "Heroes don't wear capes, sweetheart. They just do the right thing." But as they walked home that night through the chilly streets, Mark couldn't shake the feeling that something about that woman seemed different. Not just wealthy, but lonely, maybe even broken, in a way that mirrored his own heart. He didn't know it then, but that one act of kindness would soon rewrite the story of his entire life. Chapter 2: The Knock on the Door. 3 days later, on a quiet Tuesday morning, Mark's life looked exactly the same until it didn't. He was making pancakes for Lily before school when there was a firm knock at the door. He wiped his hands on a towel, frowning. He wasn't expecting anyone. When he opened it, a man in a black suit stood there, tall, composed, and slightly intimidating. A sleek black car idled by the curb. "Mr. Carter?" the man asked. "Yes?" The man handed him an envelope. "My employer wishes to thank you personally for your help the other night." Before Mark could respond, the man turned and walked back to the car. Confused, Mark closed the door and tore open the envelope. Inside was a letter, handwritten, elegant, and a small velvet box. The letter read, "Dear Mr. Carter, I don't have words big enough to thank you. You saved my life when no one else moved. I've spent years surrounded by people, yet that night, it was a stranger who cared most. Please allow me to return at least a fraction of the kindness you showed me. Emily Lawson." Mark's eyes widened. Emily Lawson. He'd heard that name before, on billboards, in magazines. She was the daughter of one of the richest real estate tycoons in the state. He opened the box. Inside was a small key and a note with an address. Mark hesitated. He didn't want charity. He didn't want to be anyone's pity project. But curiosity, and something deeper, made him go. That afternoon, he drove to the address with Lily. The GPS led them out of town, past the suburbs, into the hills, to a breathtaking property overlooking the city. Emily was waiting at the gate, wearing a soft smile. "Mark," she greeted warmly. "I'm so glad you came." She led them through her garden to a guesthouse, newly renovated, beautiful yet simple. "This is for you and Lily," she said. "You mentioned you've been saving for a better place. Consider this a thank you rent-free for a year. Mark blinked in disbelief. I can't accept this. You don't owe me anything. Emily smiled sadly. Maybe not. But sometimes, people come into our lives for a reason. You saved me that night, Mark. Not just my life, but my faith in people. Lily tugged at Mark's hand, her eyes wide as she looked around. Daddy, it's like a fairy tale. Mark looked at Emily, then at his daughter. The truth hit him, this wasn't charity. It was kindness repaid with kindness. Over the weeks that followed, Emily became part of their lives, visiting, sharing dinners, laughing with Lily, rediscovering what it meant to live simply. She had everything money could buy but nothing that truly mattered until she met a man who had nothing but gave everything without hesitation. One evening, as the sun set over the hills, Emily turned to Mark and said softly, "You know, I thought you saved me that night. But I think you're still saving me now." Mark smiled, taking her hand. Maybe we're saving each other. Epilogue. Months later, Mark's life had changed, not because of wealth, but because of connection. Emily's presence brought warmth back into his home, and his quiet strength healed wounds she'd carried alone. The story of a single dad and a woman he saved became something more, a reminder that kindness, no matter how small, ripples far beyond the moment. Sometimes, the smallest act of courage becomes the doorway to a whole new life. And as Emily once said to Mark, you never know who's watching when you choose to do the right thing. Sometimes, it's the universe taking notes.